Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper, Takedown Wrestling. We cover the world of wrestling coast to coast, border to border, each and every day. And one of the events coming up is the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. It'll take place Saturday, July 19th. Well, the night before, we've got a big pro event going on as well. And I surely hope my guest, Dallas Page, will be there to back me up in the Legends event with Danny Hodge and Baron Von Raschke. He joins us now, does Dallas. Dallas Page, how are you?
Awesome, man. And Danny Hodge.
Yeah.
I don't have to get in between you and him, do I?
No, you'd be on our team, brother. We need some help.
As long as I got Danny on my side, the vice grip guy.
Yeah.
God, I got to meet him in one of the Legends reunion. It was a thrill.
Well,
Very
first,
cool.
we want to congratulate you, my friend. The Frank Gotch Award. It's a big deal, man. This is the top of the tops when it comes to the hall, and getting your name there on the Frank Gotch Award is a pretty big deal to me. He was that glue between the old and the new, the catch as catch can, and the pros of today's modern era, I think. But when you got the phone call and were notified, what was that like?
Ah, you know, knowing what that award means and who's received it, it was emotional.
Yeah.
I was more than honored. It just it makes you. I always come back to the work put in. It makes you really understand if you really put the work in. You will be recognized, and it may not happen when you want it to. It might happen like farther down the line. But I've also figured out in my 58 years that sometimes it's not supposed to happen earlier. Sometimes it's supposed to happen, when it happens. So, that the Steiners are in this group of guys, and Couture, and Hennig, just the guys I heard you talking about some of the guys who are in it. Larry Hennig, he actually, when I broke into AWA as a manager in '88, Kurt Hennig and I bonded like this, immediately. And after my second time coming to do TV, because we do TV, we do 4 shows in Vegas at the, God, I can't remember the name of the Showboat, at the Showboat.
Sure.
And the second time I came in, Kurt and I had a drink at the bar, and he was like, my dad thinks you'd be a great manager for me, and maybe we could take this to New York, and I was like, oh my God, seriously, that would be amazing. Of course, it didn't happen because he needed to do his thing with Mr. Perfect, which he absolutely was. But, his dad was very cool to me. And the Steiners, they're as great a tag team as ever been in this sport,
Let's talk a little bit about you. And can we break kayfabe?
No, absolutely.
All right.
Sure.
Born Page Joseph Falkenberg Jr. You fans know him as Diamond Dallas Page or DDP. Fitness instructor and actor. I really started to know you as a star in WCW early on. You were that very tall guy that had a loud East Coast New Jersey twang in your voice. But we began to be friends a little later on, based on those initial touches. I looked at you as an easy guy to dislike. I mean, you played the role so well. You were kind of I don't want to say a non-wrestler, but a non-typical wrestler. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I often say there's better than, there's less than, and there's different than. And no matter what you ever look at in my time, Hulk Hogan would have been the guy. Maybe Steve Austin knocked him off for a while there, but overall, pretty much Hulk was the guy, and then everybody under that's less than. So you had to be different then. So it took me a long time to really find, who Diamond Dallas Page was.
Now, it's amazing that you found it, because it seems that they put all these roadblocks in front of you to potential success. Did it seem at the time, that there are other people standing in your way intentionally?
Absolutely. And, a lot of people did not think I could do it. When you start wrestling at 35, as you know, without any real wrestling experience,
Right.
uh, but when you start wrestling at 35, no one thinks you'll ever get it because there is it's a ballet of sorts, a very physical,
Yeah.
ballet. But there's so much to learn, and no one believed in me. So I get it when I tore my rotator cuff and Bill Watts let me go, and then I came back a year later, and they liked my work ethic, but they didn't like anything else I was doing. So they wouldn't put me on the road. So I figured out something that was really important to me, Scotty, and it became a real. I look back on my life; it's always been this way, and I apply it to DDP yoga all the time. I figured out that if they wouldn't put me on the road, so I couldn't really get out there wrestling, well, go back down to the power plant where I initially learned the basics, the foundation, and every time I was off the road, I was at the power plant. And I made sure I was the first one there and I was the last to leave. If I was there, I was in the ring. And I would go work with one guy after another. And I taught these young kids. And what I realized is when you teach someone over and over again, the more you teach, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get.
Mm.
And that really helped project me. All the time, these guys are thinking he's never going to do it. So it's a joke. They don't believe it's going to happen. And just the work that I put in, little by little started to pay off. Like in '95, Pro Wrestling Illustrated awarded me Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. And if you look at that group of guys, it's a pretty impressive group of guys.
Very
and
impressive.
Pretty much 80% of them made it to top guys.
So you look at those days and those development years from 35 on, again, with all the roadblocks, you still push yourself out there to be a hard worker. And hard workers are recognized with championships. They believe that you can carry a strap and carry a title and work those programs at a very high level. That put an awful lot of stress, a lot of pressure on your body that a normal sized guy would have a hard time hanging with. Well, you at 6'5", let me tell you something. It was even more difficult on your body. So much so where at a time, because of the injuries in your body, your contract expired in 2002, and you had to take some time off. Did you not?
Yeah, actually, what happened was 2002. I almost broke my neck. Where
Wow.
DDP Yoga ended up coming from was in '98. At the end of '98, '99, I ruptured my L4 and L5, and that's where I had 3 different back specialists say, "You're done. You're never wrestling again." And I just signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal. So, the money was important because I had never gotten paid. In '97 and '98, I worked 13 out of 24 either main or semi-main events. And I got paid like the bottom scale of everybody. So I finally signed the big contract, and now the doctors are telling me I'm done. And that's where DDP Yoga came from, because I'm a guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. But it's really all I could do besides the rehab. So what I did was I mixed them together and then threw in some old school calisthenics. But I did them with a slow burn movement. And that's where I figured out, so many of I think the top things in the world, so many of them have been come across by accident. And I figured out that especially when you're doing a slow burn push-up, you just don't use your chest and your arms. You're using your whole body.
Right.
You're doing it slow, like a 3 or a 5 or a 10-second push-up, where you're lowering for a 10 count, holding for a 10 count, and coming up. You've got to incorporate way more muscles. And what I figured out, again, by accident, is every time you flex or engage a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So what I created in less than 3 months, and it would be an ongoing thing I would learn as I move forward. But what I created, DDP yoga became a kick-ass cardiovascular workout that could dramatically increase your flexibility by breaking up scar tissue, which alleviates the pain and makes you more flexible, but strengthen your core like never before with minimal joint impact. After doing that, I wasn't even to 3 months yet. I was back in the ring. At 42, they said my career's over. At 43, I was a world champ. So I made that part of my practice every day. I completely eliminated cardio. I completely eliminated stretching because I was doing it in with this workout. But it wasn't just stretching. I was stretching and strengthening, not just my muscles, but my ligaments and my tendons. So my whole body was getting strong. And then in 2002, I just got done with WrestleMania, had a hell of a match with Christian, and I was told, okay, we're going to put the Don on you again. I'm going to get that push again. And then I did that suplex off the top rope, and I damn near broke my neck because I got knocked out in the middle of the match with Bob Holly. Bobby, he didn't get that hardcore name for nothing. He knocked the hell out of you sometimes. And this time he had caught me with a boot, and my necks were not that mobile to begin with. So, but boom, he caught me, and then he come flying through for that clothesline. And normally I'm gone. Like, you're never going to hit me. I'm going to be out of there so fast. But not this time, because he already rocked me with a boot. And then I took that clothesline and it like jackknifed, whiplashed me, and I went down. And I wasn't knocked out, but I'm sure you've been knocked out on your feet before. You don't know where the hell you are. But okay, I'm in here with Bob Holly. First thing I'm looking for is a red light. Like, are we on camera?
Right.
Or is this a house show? Because I don't even know at that point. And I see the camera. So Bob went to slam me, and I was like, dude, I have no idea where I am. You just knocked me out. And he goes, going off the top rope, stop me. And I went to climb up to the top rope to suplex him off the top. When I got my foot on that second rope and on the third, I thought, maybe I'll stop here. He's giving me his body, so I got to lay him flat. And I was so focused on laying him flat, I didn't pay attention to myself because I was still a little on Queer Street, And I landed on the top of my neck, top of my shoulders, and my body jackknifed. And man, the lightning bolts through my fingers and my hands. Like, please God, don't make me break my neck here. And I dodged a monster bullet, but it was so painful I couldn't even, it was this movement now, And I found out that my third and fourth vertebrae had fused together on their own over the abuse. And my fifth and sixth were fusing together, like almost completely fused together as well. So that's why I decided to take some time down. And I thought I was going to totally retire at that point. But taking DDP yoga to the next level strengthened my body at a different level. And I wanted to see if I could go back and still do it. And TNA offered me a lot of money. So I went back for a year. And I did it, and I had some really good matches. They weren't as great as they were in 2000, 2001, 2002, or in the 90s, but they were pretty damn good. And I got to show what I could do with the DDP Yoga program at 49 years young. And then I decided to get out because I wanted to make sure that, we see a lot of the boys, at the reunions, and a lot of them have a lot of trouble walking, and that's because of all the abuse they put on their body. The reason why I don't is because I'm constantly I just finished a glass of organic juice. What we were talking before. I take pretty good care of my body, and it's really important to me that I stay in top physical peak health so I can show the example of what's possible.
Just recently, you had an opportunity to take what has become a overnight sensation, wink, wink, overnight, DDP yoga. And you and I have been, we've been talking about DDP yoga as you've been developing in a series of DVDs and not necessarily self-help. I think it's guided, it's encouraged, it's everything you want this program to be. But you have, some very positive examples of people who have utilized DDP yoga and everything that's taught to bring themselves back from the edge of a terrible outcome of their life. And I think maybe Richard is perhaps the biggest success story you have, but then there are others like Jake Roberts.
Yeah, pretty amazing. The transformation that Jake has gone through, and I often tell people who have addictions, and a lot of people have addictions, when you're going to get rid of or try to eliminate that addiction, you got to replace it with another one. In this scenario, Jake has come around to, you have to really be around him to really feel his positive energy and his inspiring people. Like, he's seen so many people that have said, I would never have done this program if I didn't see Jake Roberts turn his life around. That showed me it was real. I got a guy in England. He actually won we do a blog, inspirational blog contest. And now you get trips to Mexico for my retreat. That'll be the next winter. But up before that, what it cost for two, it was like I was giving $5,000 away. And this guy in England, because of Jake and being moved to get the program and then start blogging about it, he lost 100 pounds in 6 months. He lost 154 pounds altogether. His wife lost 90. They were told they would never have children. They're having a baby girl. His story is so awesome, but none of that story happens without me helping Jake. It's sort of like that guy, Arthur Borman. I helped one guy inspire one guy. He has inspired millions.
Yeah. He couldn't even walk without the aid of sticks, and even then it was painful I'm sure for Arthur, but it was painful to watch.
Yeah, he told me that to put the knee braces on, because he had to put the sleeve on first, then the knee braces, then the covers over that. He said it took 20 minutes. His wife had to dress him. Wow. Imagine being a warrior, a disabled vet that has to have his wife dress him every morning. Not anymore, which is that's where I really learned, Scotty. That's where I really learned about the food. And I try to preach to as many people as possible. You don't have to eat the way I eat to have amazing results with DDP yoga, especially when you think I developed it for people that were beat up, athletes, men and women that beat the hell out of their body in their teens, in high school, in college, maybe intramural, love to play tennis or, softball or go skiing, but don't want to feel like they get hit by a truck the next day. That's the whole reason that I ever developed DDP yoga, for the masses. The whole weight loss thing just turned out to be a really awesome side effect because of the dynamic resistance part. And, for Arthur to, going through the change that he went through, it really proved to me that the food was just so important to healing your body. And, there was a movie that just came out called Fed Up, and it was produced by Katie Couric. Now, she's America's sweetheart, and she got in to the lies behind sugar and how our whole country is addicted to sugar. And when you really think about it, you take a crack addict and you get him out of the crack house or the environment of crack, there's a good chance you can work that person off of it. If someone's got a problem with the booze, get him out of the bars, get him away from his buddies who drink 24/7. Good chance you can get him away from it. Gambler, get him out of the casinos. It's all addictions. But sugar, there's nowhere to go because it's everywhere.
It's in everything.
And it tastes amazing, but it's so bad for you, especially when it gets into high limits. Like, my girl's got breast cancer right now, and she should have no sugar, but she has cut her sugar down to like a minimum. And it's made me cut mine at least to half of it, what I was eating. And I got to tell you, man, my knees feel different.
Really?
Really. And I mean dramatically different. because what it comes down to, the genetically modified foods today, whether it be wheat, dairy, corn, soy, whatever, your body doesn't really know how to process them as well as they would the wheat or organic milk or organic corn, or these things, they cause inflammation in your body. The top three are wheat, dairy, and sugar. The top three things that we eat that cause inflammation. Inflammation causes sickness. It causes death. It really causes your body to be uncomfortable. And, it tastes so good, though, especially sugar. We get we're addicts for it. So anything, in that movie, Fed Up, there's two things I didn't know. One was anything that says low fat or fat free, that means they just put a hell of a lot more sugar in. Because if there's no fat in it, well, then it's going to taste like cardboard.
Yeah.
So put in sugar. Now, here's the other thing I didn't know. If you read a label, and I don't care, pick anything out of your cabinet and your pantry, and on the labels it'll say carbohydrates, proteins, sodium. It gives you that list. And on the left-hand side, it'll give you like 4%, 8%, 12% of your daily recommended use. For sugar, you will see no number. Because 9 times out of 10, that number would be the most you should be eating in a day. Never mind a serving.
It's amazing to me that, well, there's reasons for it, obviously, and as much as I want to go into the life and life cycle
No,
of sugar,
I get it.
I don't want to get off track. We're talking with Dallas Page, one of my gurus. Obviously, he's getting the Frank Gotch Award Saturday, the 19th of July, in Waterloo, Iowa, at the 5 Sullivan Brothers Convention Center. It's the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. One of my great buddies, yours as well, will be there. Gerald Briscoe, good old JR, will be there. The Steiner brothers, Larry Hennig and his wife Irene, and the Hennig family. Randy Couture will be getting the George Tragos Award. He'll be there. Just starred in another major motion picture, The Expendables 3. And I don't think they're ready to kill him off yet, but
no,
he always proofreads the script before he accepts the part, just in case. We're talking with DDP, one of my all-time favorites. He was easy to dislike and even easier to like him, and it was evidenced even more so, I think, February 21st, when you appeared on the ABC hit series Shark Tank. And your goal there was to get in front of as many people as you possibly could, television-wise, and also to potentially attract a prospective investor, or the Sharks as they're known, on the show, to invest in DDP Yoga. Not that you necessarily needed it, but wouldn't it be great to do it with somebody else's money? Ultimately, you were unsuccessful, but in some eyes, in other eyes, ultimately, you were very successful, because what they wanted was a whole lot of your company for nothing.
The big picture, when I first, Shark Tank became a goal, and it starts as a dream, like, I'd really love to be on that show. Then it becomes a goal when you put a date to it. So we immediately fill out applications, and we sent them in. We missed it by 2 days. And what I did was I found a friend of mine who was friends with the producers there, this casting, and he got me to the top of the list for the next year. And when I came on to the show, as far as, you have 5 different interviews, right? On the phone, then you do one on Skype, then you send them your pitch, and it's a lengthy process. You never know if you're going to get on the show. Even if you got a deal, you don't know. And these guys were so helpful. But the main thing, when they were asking me what I really wanted, I said, I want to charge $1. And they were like, what do you mean $1? I said, I want the Sharks to fight over the 5%, because I'm not giving them more than 5%, because I don't need those guys that deep in my business. And they were like, well, you can't do that because this show's based around people needing money.
Right.
And I said, all right, well, then I'll, at first I thought, well, my company's valued at $500,000 for 5%. But if I ask for that, then they're going to go, oh, you're all about the money. You're not, those sharks, they look for the weakness of what your business is, and then they bust your chops. So I came down to $200,000 for 5%, but they want to own way more than that. And, they treated us so good on that show. My goal was to get in front, was not so much to get a deal as much as it was to get in front of, I don't know, 5 million people.
Which is exactly what you did.
Exactly. And and it'll come out because the Sharks talk about the Shark Tank. They've already interviewed us for what we've done so far. And when they hear that because of you were on Shark Tank, your sales were over $1 million in 6 days, they want to talk about that.
They are kicking themselves right now for asking for the percentage they were asking for.
It was great fun. I love the show. It's real. Like they don't know anything about you till you get out there. And what was really nice, as you know, being in the business, it's all about the edit.
Yeah.
And how they edit that. And there was some things that happened that they could have edited, which might have got a little bit not as smooth a side for DDP Yoga, but those guys didn't edit it that way. They edited only the best stuff, and it was really it was an awesome time. I look forward to it, as you can imagine, playing on the rerun, and then it'll even go to CNBC where they'll play it again. So it's really it's the gift that keeps giving.
You have two daughters.
Yes.
Brittany and Kimberly.
Yep.
I believe it's Kimberly named after.
Actually, it's not our daughter together, but she was both of those girls I adopted when one was 6 and the other was an infant, which was Kimmy, because as I like to call them, their sperm donor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand people splitting up and breaking up. I get all that. But when you leave, you don't clean out all the money in the bank and leave your family desolate. Once you come to that level, you never getting forgiveness from me. But the positive side for me was I adopted 2 beautiful little girls who one of them works for me right now. she works with me every day.
And that's Brittany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
Brittany
awesome.
would be 26 or 27.
26. Yep.
26
She's coming up
years
with
old. Kim, I think, is 20. How about this? You obviously had a relationship and were married to Kimberly,
Yes.
one of the prettiest women in the business for a long time. But being in the business has its own set of trials, so to speak. It must create just hell on a relationship.
It was brutal at times, but the positive side was because Kim was involved in the business.
Yeah.
And I'm a really upfront guy. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to lie to my old lady. If I went to a place she didn't want me to go to, I'm still going to tell her.
Yeah.
And so she could see a lot of the pitfalls of what fame and all that could do, but she got to see all the positive stuff too. So we got to see when I was on those roads, like Ryback, who does DDP Yoga, he'd text me because he just ran into Jake and he wanted some new workouts that I'd come up with. I was sending him, and he said he'd been on the road for 17 days. Wow. And I just thought to myself, I don't miss that anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, that's a lot of days. Most of these guys are 300 days plus. And how do you have any kind of relationship is beyond me. A lot of phone time, I'm sure. But also want to get into one of the lawsuits that you filed for trademark infringement. You're well known for the guy who has given himself more high fives or self high fives than anybody. And you also had a diamond cutter, a hand gesture that you created and then trademarked as that symbol. And it was Jay-Z. Yeah, Jay-Z, the rapper, who illegally used your gesture, then denied it. You guys went to court and actually settled out of court.
Yeah. All I can say about that, Scotty, is the matter's been resolved
Yeah.
in a good way. And because this right here, when I threw this up, it wasn't the hands, someone doing the hands. It was the logo. It's sort of like, who when you see this, everyone thinks of Allstate.
Right.
You see an apple with a bite out of it, it's Apple Computers.
Right.
And so it was more like this, and this has become the most important thing with the workout. It's how I show dynamic resistance,
Exactly.
and when you're engaging muscles and pushing, like just do this with me. Put your thumb and index fingers together. Now open your fingers. Now push really hard against them, like push against them. See how the inside of your hand, your forearm, your bicep, and your pec have to engage?
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, now straighten them out in front of you and get out of your microphone so I can guide you. You have to move your arms. So move your hands. You can't be underneath your microphone. So get to the side. There, okay. All right, so push them together. Now push your thumb and index fingers together. Now pull your pinkies away from your thumbs. That's it. Stretch them wide open. Now, don't just lift your arms. With dynamic resistance, just slowly take them back, creating, as you're engaging, like you're going through clay. Now bring your arms out to a T. Clench your fists tight. Now Hulk it up, brother. Bring those biceps together. Bring them in tight like this right here. Yeah. Now, attention, shoulders back, chest out, at ease.
That's what I'm talking about.
They say you're starting to get a little bit, like a little perspiration. A little bit. That's how I show dynamic. That's how I teach it. So I'm not letting anybody just going to have this sign. That's not going to happen. So, we worked it out. And it was very important to me that I continue to have that. And that's because of my workout. When I show people this, they're like, oh my God, that really does work. and then I go, and you haven't done anything yet. So once I get them into the lunges and the push-ups, and then they're like, wow, okay, whole different animal. By the way,
there are elements of DDP yoga that I do employ in my workouts, and I must tell you, those are some of the. It's like you said, when you do a slow push-up, it's so much better than doing 10 push-ups at a varied speed. The slow push-up is much better for what it does and how it employs the muscle group. So I'm hoping you're going to bring some of these DDP sets, perhaps some books, things like that, up to the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, coming up in July on the 19th, as you are there to accept the Frank Gotch Award. Nobody deserves it more than you. Dallas, I'm going to be there, and I got to tell you, my brother, I'm so proud of you. Not only what you've done, but all that you have yet to accomplish. I'm so proud to know you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in July.
Oh, thank you so much, bro. And before we go, I gotta thank when I was first called by this, and there's always someone who has to step up for you. Yeah. In every league, every Hall of Fame, whatever it is, there's one person that says, yeah, we need to put DDP in this. And, I often say most people think it's all about who you know or who knows you. I believe it's all about who's willing to say they know you, who's willing to step up and put their name on the line for you. And when I heard that the person that stepped up for me was Jerry Briscoe, like chills, bro. Chills. Jerry Briscoe's the first person in professional wrestling that I actually got to sit down and talk to about professional wrestling when I was trying to manage this guy named Smitty. And he was a comedian who looked like Curly from the Three Stooges. He was 300 pounds, really light on his feet, a really great entertainer. I don't know if you remember the show Putting on the Hits, but he was a finalist in that show, and he just would have been a great entertainer. And Jerry and I sat down and talked about, the chances of that happening. And, I didn't see him again for years and years. And then when I got involved towards the business, and he got to watch me grow through this business. And when I heard that he put my name in the hat for this, the original person to do that, it meant so much to me. And then when Jerry, this is, I guess, about a year and a half ago, he had, we're talking to one of my buddies and had sent him the workout, the DDP yoga program. And when I saw him at WrestleMania, not this year, but last year, when I came around the corner, he grabbed me and hugged me. He said, "Thank you so much for giving me back my life with the program." Now, here's a guy, 66, maybe 67 now, but, there's nobody who was a bigger stud than Jerry Briscoe. Wrestled his whole life from a little kid on the mat all the way up. He did it all. And for him to tell me, and then it was just with him this WrestleMania too, still talking about the same thing. I sent him one of my first DDP yoga mats. I sent it to him. He's like, what mat are you working on? I got this little flimsy thing. I said, I'm sending you something different. And the fact that Jerry Briscoe will talk about DDP yoga the same way that Jake Roberts does, Arthur Borman or Ryback or Chris Jericho, or Edge or Al Snow. I mean, this means so much to me that I could help my brothers, help them grab back part of that strength that they just, through years of beating up their body, were starting to really lose. And getting it back there's no better feeling than to be able to give back to your peers. And it's pretty awesome.
Well, deservedly so. It's fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to taking part in it at a very special place. And again, the George Tragos Luthez Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame fans, you can be a part of it. The reunion reception start at 5 o'clock, banquet at 6, induction ceremony 7. Get there the day before. For that night, we will have a Legends match at the center. And it's really a let your hair down, have fun. Everybody's real approachable, fun to talk to. You can purchase your tickets by calling 319-233-0745. Talk to anybody at the museum, the Dan Gable Museum in Waterloo. They'll be happy to take care of you. But you got to get on the task, because they're not going to be able to take reservations, I think, after July 9th. So make sure you respond now. DDP, always good to talk to you, brother. If I was there, I would not put it on you. I would say, hey, you know what? Let me give you a high five. Instead of having to do it all by yourself, I would give you a high five.
We will always see each other.
I'm talking about my brother. I love you. Congratulations down in Dallas, Page. Everybody knows it. You deserve it. The Frank Gotch Award goes to you this year, my friend.
Thank you so much, man. It means the world to me. Look forward to being there, buddy. See you soon.